Tottenham Hotspur won their first trophy in 18 years this season. The fans were understandably absolutely buzzing and were excited for what was to come now. All was finally well at Tottenham Hotspur. But now Postecoglu, the man who brought success to Spurs, has been sacked. And granted, they did finish 17th, but they had an insane amount of injuries to deal with this season. And despite that, they still won the Europa League. And even as Spurs' biggest hater, I can admit that sacking is unbelievably harsh. This does mean though that they are now without a manager. And that is where I come in, as I have just been announced as their brand new gaffer. And guys, I've got a lot of work to do, as this team needs a total restructure. I need to get them playing proper football, and hopefully if Levy doesn't sack me, I can make them the best team in the world. And so guys, this is the team we've inherited from Postecoglu in season number 1. And without any injuries, this is actually a very solid team. There's James Maddison, Kulusevski, Heung-min Son. There's Brennan Johnson, who was last year's best player. Mickey van der Ven, Romero. As insane as this sounds, the list just goes on. And it's also, as you can see, a really young side. So if we can keep these guys healthy and uninjured, the future of Spurs and the present of it will look amazing. I truly do have a fantastic feeling about this Spurs side. I don't think it's going to take us too long to get the best out of everybody. However guys, it was time for my first meeting with the boss to see what he wants from me this season. And honestly, it's very simple. He wants to be competitive in every competition, and he wants us to get straight back to the top of the table. He said despite winning the Europa League last year, 17th in the Prem is completely unacceptable no matter what happened during the campaign. And he did give me a warning that if I wanted to keep my job, I'd do well to steer Spurs well clear of that position this year as well. Well, I know what I need to do now guys. It's time to put my spin on this Spurs side. So this is how I'm going to have the boys lined up in a 4-4-1-1 formation. We'll be playing the counter-attacking build-up style with a pretty high line, which we'll get away with because our defenders are rapid. And when we're on the ball on the break guys, this is exactly how our team is going to look. And honestly, even though it's Spurs, I think this looks pretty damn good. And on top of that, we've got over 114 million to spend. However, unfortunately for us, that budget is going to get increased in the worst way possible. Because do you guys remember when I said this team needs a bit of a restructure? Well, that is actually happening in real life as we speak. Because as far as I'm aware guys, these 5 are getting sold. I might have missed 1 or 2 plays, but we aren't using the life points, so there's a good chance that the players that might be going out on loan this year are just on loan and I've just left them alone. And there we go, every player on that transfer list has now indeed been sold. Which now leaves us just over 235 million to spend. And with that money guys, we could legitimately transform this team. Now obviously on paper this side doesn't look too bad, but it does need some improvements. However, there's circulating rumours going on in real life, and that's what we're going to stick to. And if any of these are wrong, do not blame me, blame the internet. As first up, we have just signed Jan Orel Bisek from Inter Milan for a measly £10 million. Spurs are also linked to Morten Hjulman from Sporting, and it looks certain to be a done deal. So for 43.5 million, we've also signed him for 5 years as well. But now we're getting to the important signings, because in my opinion, we need a replacement for Son, and we need a much better striker up top. And we still have 176 million to spend. Now one of these next 2 signings is a player that is linked to Spurs in real life, but the other one is a player of my choice. The first player that we've just signed though is linked in real life, as Tottenham Hotspur are eyeing up Jonathan David, and we brought him in for a measly 30 million. He's a fantastic little striker, proven in Europe, and he's just what Spurs need up top. But now it's time for that left winger role, because we need someone who's going to be fantastic now and for the future, just like Son was for Spurs, which is why 40 million has just gone on Alberto Milero. I know that he's linked to other clubs in real life, but he would be the perfect fit for Spurs if Son does leave. And there we have it. After that transfer window, this is how our team looks going into season 1. And yes, there is still a certain Romero in the squad. I'm aware that he is supposed to be leaving, but nothing's yet set in stone, so for now he is going to be staying put. But I'm very excited about the campaign ahead with this team guys. If we can keep them fresh and healthy, we could be on for a very good season. Talk is cheap though, as we now have our first proper test of the campaign in the Super Cup against Inter Milan, who apparently in this career mode say beat PSG to win the Champions League. And honestly, by the looks of it, for very good reason too, as within 10 minutes they went 1-0 up. We definitely didn't let that put us down though, as 3 minutes later Brennan Johnson almost equalled the scoreline. However, it wasn't looking good for us, as 20 minutes in, Inter doubled their advantage. Yeah, this isn't a good start. 3 minutes later, however, Jonathan David made his mark in a Spurs shirt as he got his debut goal for us. However, in the 30th minute, it really didn't mean all that much. I'll be real, Inter Milan are unstoppable going forward. Once again though, it only took us 3 minutes to get one back, courtesy this time of a debutant Alberto Meliro. After this, we were playing proper football, and in the 41st minute, we almost equalled the scoreline. We were now in the second half, and Inter got very lucky here as Meliro put his shot past the post. Inter weren't just sitting back on their lead though, they wanted a fourth, and they very nearly got it here. With 5 minutes to go though, we were on the break, but we bottled our chance to go 3-all on the night. And yes, my words there were very damn accurate, as that miss did indeed lead us to losing the Super Cup to Inter Milan. And this is actually a big loss, man, because if we are to make Spurs the best team in the world, we need that elite winners mentality. We, however, have to brush this loss off and crack on in the Premier League, as our first game of the season is against Fulham. And remember, we have to take the Premier League seriously. We can ill afford a season like last year. Thankfully though, it wasn't like the start we had against Inter, as we took a 1-goal lead inside of 5 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, Meliro took this away to make it 2-0. Then literally straight after, Jonathan David got his second of the game to give us a great win over Fulham, which is exactly the bounce back we were after, so maybe there is hope for us after all this campaign. It certainly seemed like a new chapter was written for Tottenham Hotspur, as we also got a win over Bournemouth here. We then quite easily beat Doncaster in the Carabao Cup. We, however, came unstuck against Wolves, as we only managed to grab a point from them. So overall, really not a bad start, but now we have to take this form into the Champions League. Because to start our Champions League campaign, we're facing a team that is no joke at all in Atletico Madrid. To be honest though, it was a really evenly matched game until the 18th minute, where we very nearly got ahead. And in the 27th minute, we squandered yet another great chance. And that is going to bite us in the backside, I just know it. To my complete surprise though, we were the first team to strike, as we just about got this in the back of the net. And then pretty much from kickoff in the second half, we doubled our advantage. Okay, we might be cooking here. And that is precisely what we were doing, as we held on to our 2-0 lead to beat Atletico. And let me tell you, if we had beaten teams like Atletico, we are definitely on the right track. And we continued to prove this was the case, as we were beating everybody in front of us. We were doing very well in the Champions League, and we were doing insanely well in the Premier League. Which means halfway through the season, we are second in the Prem, 8 points behind Man City, and we are all but certainly through to the next round in the Champions League. So yes guys, in comparison to last year, we have really raised the bar for Tottenham Hotspur. And for that guys, I think this video deserves a big old thumbs up, and you should definitely smash that subscribe button if you're new around here. And the best thing is, we still have over 100 million to spend on a team that quite frankly right now doesn't really need it. Because as you can see, our stats are phenomenal. David, Meliro, Kulusevski, Madison, they're all pulling their weight, but there is one position I would like to improve, and it's a player actually I've just mentioned. And that is actually James Maddison in that centre midfielder role. He could potentially still do a job on the wing, but in that centre midfielder role, he just gets bullied way too much. So with that being said, 50 million has just been spent on Atalanta centre midfielder Edison to rectify that problem. And just look at him, he's an absolute beast. He's so well-rounded, fits that box-to-box role perfectly. And because he's 6 foot with great physicality, he's never in a million years going to get bullied like Maddison was in the midfield. And with that guys, I'm very happy to leave the transfer window there, because honestly, if we play our cards right and keep playing the way we are, we're adding a couple more trophies to that dusty cabinet of ours. If we wanted that to happen though, we had to keep this going, and that's exactly what we did in the FA Cup against Newport. We then followed this up with a very narrow 2-1 win over Everton in the Premier League, and then in the FA Cup we beat Aston Villa to qualify for the next round. So all in all, we are really proving this isn't a one-hit wonder from Spurs, but now we need to do it on the biggest stage as well, as we have qualified for the round of 16 in the Champions League, where we're facing off against PSV. We were already 1-0 up going into the second leg, and we had the perfect start to match it as within 3 minutes we went 2-0 up on aggregate. PSV though were proving to be a right pain in the backside as they managed to get one back just before half time. Thankfully though, it didn't look like we were slipping back into our old ways as early in the second half Pedro Porro put us back in the lead. Then again, I could be wrong as almost straight after they did get an equaliser again. And then 10 minutes after that they went 3-3 on aggregate. I swear, if we somehow don't make it to the next round, you're getting that nickname back. In the dying embers of the game though, we had a great chance to win this tie, but somehow Davey did not put this away. I'm slowly giving up, man. What on earth are Spurs playing at in this game? We were now into extra time and we hit PSV on the break in the 102nd minute where David finally put us back in front. But directly from kickoff in the second half of extra time, they got an equaliser once again. I am so sick of this bloody team at the minute. Jonathan David though saved the day as in the dying seconds of extra time he put us 5-4 on aggregate to qualify for the next round of the UCL. But I'll be real with you lot, if we make it any further than the quarters I'll be amazed, because if we can only just beat teams like PSV we've got no chance. Especially when our opponents in the quarters are none other than Barcelona. But here's the thing, in the first leg we battered them 3-1 and we genuinely could not have had a better start as this was given us a penalty and Jonathan David buried it. And then in the 23rd minute he managed to get his brace. I'm so confused guys, how can we just about beat PSV but be 5-1 up on aggregate against Barca? However, in the 57th minute of this game they did get one back. It however didn't matter as with 15 minutes to go we went 6-2 on aggregate qualifying for the semis. There is surely no chance we can win the Champions League in our first year in charge of Spurs. Surely. If we are to go all the way though, we've first got to climb a mountain in Real Madrid. And this time instead of being 3-1 up on aggregate, we're 3-1 down on aggregate. Surprisingly though, that didn't put us down as 13 minutes in, we were really on the offense. But then disaster struck as Spurs went 1-0 up due to a Pedro Porro own goal. That has got to be the most Spursy thing I've ever seen. We weren't giving up yet though as we were still peppering Real Madrid with shots and chances. It was unfortunately futile though as they went 2-0 up and the game was already done. They'd knocked us out of the Champions League and our Champions League campaign was over. But our season however wasn't quite finished yet. Because we're in the FA Cup final against last year's FA Cup winners Crystal Palace for a chance to add another trophy to that dusty cabinet. And I'm stuck in a rut here guys because if we lose we go a season trophyless, but if we win I might get sacked because I've won something. And unlike last year's FA Cup final where Palace took the lead, this time we did inside of 13 minutes. And then in the 25th minute we almost scored the goal of the season after some gorgeous football, but Palace's keeper made a great save here. Seriously, I'd have been proud of that. Early in the second half we were playing good football and still applying pressure and we almost capitalised on it here. And with only 13 minutes to go we had another chance to go 2-0 up. Honestly, the only thing keeping Palace in this game is their keeper right now. But he couldn't stop this as Milero from the corner put this firecracker into the top right corner of the goal. However, with seconds to go, Palace did get one back. And you seriously won't believe what happened next. We have helped Tottenham Hotspur to win their second trophy in 2 years. And that is actually an incredible achievement, and it just gets better. Because we've also smashed it in the Premier League, regaining top 4 status and Champions League qualification. So maybe we aren't going to get sacked after all. I would hope not anyway, because this team is not looking bad after our first year in charge of it, is it? And then you take a look at the stats and you understand how we've done so well this year. I mean, Jonathan David over 60 goal contributions in 61 games. Milero got 35 and 17. Mad has got 21. Kulusevski got 30. Yes guys, we know how to bang goals in for fun. And the thing is as well, I know exactly how we can take this Tottenham Hotspur side to that next level. And when I say the next level, I mean winning the Premier League and winning the Champions League. But before I get into any of that, it's time to meet with the boss before Season 2 begins to see if I've still got a job. And it shouldn't come as a surprise that my job is safe, as we not only won the FA Cup but we smashed it everywhere else. And because of how close we were to both winning the title and UCL, he wants us to try and go all the way with them and also win another domestic competition. And he doesn't want us holding back in the window, as we have a lot of money to throw around this time. And geez, he isn't kidding, we've got over $250 million to spend spend. I'll be real, winning the Premier League title and Champions League has just become a lot more likely now. And he did give me permission to not hold back on this team in the transfer window. So guess what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. But the first thing I'm actually going to do isn't going to cost me a penny. The first thing I'm doing is switching the formation to the 4-2-3-1 wide with it looking like this when we're on the counter-attack on the ball. Because honestly, I felt like last season our midfield was far too high up to provide any defensive cover for our back four. And the beauty of this formation is Edison and Hjulmand are a little bit deeper. So whilst of course they can go up on the counter with our attackers and provide attacking support, they can also provide a lot more defensive support too. Now it's just a question of what we're going to do with all this money. Because remember, we had a cracking campaign last year and you could argue now that Spurs' pull is the best it's been in years. So realistically, we could go for big players. And just like I said last year, I know exactly who we need to replace in order to get Spurs to that next level. And Brennan Johnson is one of them, ladies and gentlemen. And I know, guys, I know that won't sit well with you Spurs fans. But last year, this guy was beyond terrible. He didn't really contribute too much in terms of goals and assists. And honestly, he's got the touch of a damn elephant on the ball. If we are serious about the title and UCL, we need a better right winger. And I'm also thinking of replacing Christian Romero. And this is for two reasons. One of which being he's got shocking stamina and he just does not last long enough in the most important games where we need him the most. And the other is the fact that Tottenham are looking to sell him in real life with offers up to 50 million. So honestly, I should have done this last year, but with everything being up in the air, I just left it alone. This time, however, I'm not, as he is included in a swap deal for Ronald Araujo alongside 90 million to sign him. And this works out all around because last year we smashed Barca in the Champions League and Romero does want to move to Spain. And with how good Ronald Araujo actually is, there's a great chance he could help Spurs get to that next level I've been talking about. As for my second and final signing this summer transfer window though, 50 million was spent on Anthony Elanga. And he will go nicely as Brennan Johnson's replacement. Because he's levels above him, as you can see, he's Premier League proven as well. And I believe he is the quality that we need on the right to complete our front four. As for the rest of our money, this 100 million is going to be saved until January. Because whilst I'm confident in the team right now, there's no saying that they're enough to get across the finish line. The team though is much stronger than last year and we have a fantastic test to see how good they are right now as we're in the Community Shield against Manchester City. Straight away though, it was clear that City had the ref in their back pocket as this was given as a penno, but Vicario saved it! Bloody hell, what a start. And it got even better as Destiny Udogie put us 1-0 up inside of 15 minutes. At this point, we were outplaying Man City and it almost cost them another goal here as well. However, Edison was on fire in this game and he was once again in the 34th minute. Guys, we are battering the Premier League champions here. And our pressure finally paid off again as just shy of the hour mark, Udogie got his brace. This did, however, wake City up a little bit as with 9 minutes to go, they finally got their first shot on goal. In the end though, their efforts were futile as with 5 minutes to go, Jonathan David killed the game dead. And this led us to winning our second trophy in 2 years with them and their third in 3. And the thing is, we've just beaten the Premier League champions convincingly to do this. Are we about to become serial winners with Tottenham Hotspur? Our first step in doing that though was beating Brentford in our first game of the Premier League campaign, and that's exactly what we did. We followed that up with another 2-0 win over Palace, and we only managed a 1-0 win over the Blades, but it's a 1-0 win nonetheless. So guys, so far, so damn good. We need to carry this though into Europe again, as our first test in the Champions League this time is against Portuguese side Sporting CP. And after last year's PSV tie, we weren't taking them for granted, and 6 minutes in it paid off as Elanga opened the scoreline. Sporting though are no pushover, as 6 minutes later they equalised. God, I hope this isn't another PSV game. After that, it was a pretty even game, but in the 40th minute, Elanga hit the post. And we'd live to regret not taking that chance as just before our time, Sporting took the lead. We did start the second half strongly, putting Sporting on the back foot as Jonathan David almost equalled the scoreline here. And shortly after, Kulusevski almost did too. Yeah, beating this keeper is going to be a nightmare. Finally, we put enough pressure on Sporting that they crumbled and we got an equaliser. And he did get his third shortly after, but it was real bloody offside. At long last though, with 18 minutes to go, Kulusevski broke through their defence and put us back in front. With only 10 minutes to go though, you couldn't write it, could you? They got a third themselves. This time though, we didn't bottle the 3 points as Elanga broke through and gave us all 3 points in our first game of the Champions League campaign. And I know it's only Sporting, but that to me says we've turned a corner, because last year we'd have definitely dropped points here. All I know is if we want to achieve anything again this year, we've got to keep this form going, and that's exactly what we did against Newcastle United. As we head back to the Champions League, we got a solid 2-0 win over 10-man Leipzig. We then beat a very strong Benfica side 3-2. However, back in the Premier League, we did drop 2 points against an insanely strong Brighton side. And this has led us to being 4th in the league, only 4 points behind top of the league Aston Villa halfway through the season. And if all goes well in the last 2 games of the league phase of the UCL, we're through to the round of 16. So yes guys, once again a very good first half of the campaign. And the stats certainly back that up. David's got 30 goal contributions already, 12 and 6 for Elanga, 10 and 11 for Kulusevski. Everything's going really well. Which leads us to this dilemma, because we've got 111 million to spend. And frankly, I don't want to spend a damn penny of it. Because what we have with this team right now is very clearly working. And the worst thing you can do to win in Formula is change it up. I don't want to rock the boat or anything like that. I want to keep it as it is. And so far it looked like it was working, as we got a solid 2-1 win over Leeds. We followed that up with another 2-0 win over Leicester City. And then we went on to knock Shrewsbury out of the FA Cup early on. Because remember, the boss wants us to win a domestic competition. However, I had my own priorities as we enter the round of 16 of the Champions League against AC Milan. It was a nightmare start though, as they went 1-0 up due to this lucky rebound. It's safe to say that was a shock to the system, but after 20 minutes we did get an equaliser. Literally straight after that though, we conceded again. But then straight after that we got back on equal terms as well. Good God, this game's going to be a nightmare, isn't it? But at long last, in the 38th minute on the counter-attack, we went 3-2 up, 4-3 up on aggregate. And yep guys, you guessed it, straight after scoring we conceded. For a neutral, this game is genuinely insane, but for me, it's a pain in the backside. And the chaos simply continued as early in the second half, we went 4-3 up. And at long last, we got a bit of space between ourselves and Milan as we went 5-3 up with 25 minutes to go. And then we killed the game with 7 minutes to go to make it 6-3 on the night, 7-4 overall. And I swear, I do not want another game like that this season. But one thing's for certain, it won't get any easier, as in the quarters, we face off against Atletico Madrid. Having said that though, we were already 1-0 up going into this second leg, and we went 1-0 up on the night 4 minutes in. So maybe I was wrong. Then again, I could have been right, as Cray 3 minutes later equaled the scoreline. Yeah, that'll teach me for getting cocky, won't it? Just 4 minutes after that though, we got given a penalty for this. David stepped up and bagged it home. But in the 32nd minute, due to yet another rebound, Atletico got back in the game. Seriously, Vicario, get butter off them bloody fingers, lad. 10 minutes into the second half though, we did restore our lead courtesy of Maliro. Atletico weren't giving up though, as in the 66th minute they rattled the post. And with 8 minutes to go, they forced a great save from Vicario, who for once didn't concede a rebound. And thankfully, we held on to our 3-2 lead on the night, which means we've qualified for the semis. And that's where we'll play Italian giant Juve. And going into this second leg, it's 2 apiece, so it is all to play for. And guys, we were the team to strike the first blow. After 9 minutes, we went 1-0 up. And then less than 10 minutes later, we went 2-0 up. And then just before the half-hour mark, we took a 3-goal lead on the night. Guys, what is going on? We're smashing Juve. And literally 3 minutes after the third, we got our 4th, landing ourselves in the Champions League final. And that isn't even the best bit of news, because not only do we have a chance of revenge against Real Madrid, we've only gone and won the Premier League. So by my count, that's 3 trophies in 2 years here at Spurs. Not bad at all. And honestly, you take a look at our goals and assists this year from the boys, it is very unsurprising that we've done that. We've actually done the unimaginable with this team, guys. We have made them Premier League champions. And now it's time to do the impossible, winning Spurs the Champions League. All we've got to do is be the better team than Real Madrid to do it. Unlike the last time we met though, we're on even ground this time, but it didn't last like that for long as 11 minutes in, we took the lead. But this is Real Madrid we're talking about. They are not going to give up that easily, and they proved this in the 16th minute where they forced a great save from Vicario. And then literally straight after, they snuck this header into the back of the net, equaling the scoreline. Yes guys, it's officially game on. This time though, we're a far better side, and Elanga proved this as he got his brace, giving us the lead again. And then in the 35th minute, Milero burst through and made it 3-1. And then with just over 20 minutes to go, we went 4-1 up. So we basically won this game as long as we don't make any stupid errors. But let me tell you, they weren't giving up, as in the 78th minute they very nearly got one back. And they forced another good save from Vicario here. But their efforts were too little, too late. We'd beaten them 4-1 on the night to crown Spurs the best team in the world. And that, my friends, is the job done with the bottle jobs. Yes, I called them the bottle jobs, sue me. If you have enjoyed this video and want to see more content just like it, though, drop this video a big old thumbs up and smash that subscribe button if you're new. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this one though, I reckon you should click here because I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy this one as well.